Yuzo grew up in Owari as the quiet one, kind, patient, and always fixing things with his small toolkit. He dreamed of starting a little tech repair and gadget service, even if all he had was an old laptop and big hope. But living beside his older brother Pascal made every day feel like a reminder that he wasn't moving fast enough. Pascal loved showing off, his shiny car, his designer shirts, his loud life. Every family gathering turned into a stage for him to brag, and a moment to embarrass Yuzo. He would laugh and say things like Yuzo was too soft to make it, or always slow in life. Yuzo tried to ignore it, but the words always found a place to hurt. One evening during a family dinner, Pascal took it too far. With all their relatives watching, he pointed at Yuzo and said loudly, "You'll always be broke. Some people are just born failures." Everyone laughed awkwardly, trying to pretend it wasn't cruel, but Yuzo felt the sting in his chest. He didn't talk back. He just sat there quietly, looking down at his hands. But in that silence, something inside him shifted. It felt like a wound, and a spark. He didn't cry or argue. Instead, he looked at Pascal with calm eyes, the kind that hide more strength than they show. Pascal thought he had won the moment, but he didn't know he had just pushed Yuzo into a new direction. Yuzo walked out that night with a feeling he had never felt before, a mix of pain and determination. He knew he couldn't keep living under his brother's shadow. He knew those words would either destroy him, or become the fire that changed everything. And for the first time, he chose his fire. Yuzo tried to pretend Pascal's insults didn't affect him, but what truly broke him was how their father reacted. Instead of correcting Pascal, he praised him again, talking about how successful and smart he was, how he carried the family name, while Yuzo's efforts were treated like they didn't matter. Even when Yuzo fixed the neighbors' radios, repaired his father's old phone, or helped around the house, no one noticed. But the moment Pascal walked in, everyone's attention shifted to him. That night, after the embarrassing scene at the family gathering, their father pulled Pascal aside and said, "You're the one making us proud." Yuzo heard those words clearly, even though he wasn't meant to. It felt like something inside him quietly collapsed. He went to his small room, sat on the bed, and stared at the cracked ceiling. He knew if he stayed, he would always be the one they looked down on. The quiet boy with no future. The one they believed would never become anything. He felt the weight of their words pressing on him. And for the first time, he realized he couldn't breathe in that house anymore. He needed space, hope, a chance to prove something. Not to them, but to himself. So he made a decision. He pulled out his old laptop, the same one he used to practice repairs on. Even though half the keys didn't work, he gathered his tiny bag of tools, the ones he had bought with money saved from small repair jobs. Then he opened his wallet and counted everything he had left, 7,000 Nigerian nairas. It wasn't enough to start a business, but it was enough to leave. As he zipped up his bag, he whispered to himself, "If I stay here, their words will bury me." It wasn't anger, it was clarity. He stepped out of the house quietly, not telling anyone, not looking back. The night air felt different on his skin, almost like freedom. He didn't know exactly where he was going or how he would survive, but he knew he had to go. For the first time, he chose his own path, even if it started with nothing but pain, hope, and a small bag on his shoulder. When Yuzo arrived in Abuja, the city felt bigger than anything he had imagined. He found a tiny room to share with two other hustlers. One sold second-hand clothes, the other washed cars for tips. The room was cramped, hot, and noisy, but it was all Yuzo could afford. He placed his bag in a corner, and told himself this was where his new life would begin. The next morning, he set up a small spot on the roadside with nothing but his old tools and a piece of cardboard that said phone repair. Cars rushed past him, dust filled the air, and the sun burned his neck, but he stayed there from morning till night, waiting for someone to trust him. At first, people ignored him. Some even laughed, saying he looked too young to fix anything. When it rained, he stood under a leaking umbrella, protecting his laptop like it was gold. When it was too sunny, he used a piece of cloth to shade his tools. Hunger became normal. Many days, he survived on only bread and water because he needed to save every naira. Sometimes his hands shook from exhaustion, but he kept working, quietly proving himself one repair at a time. Slowly, people started noticing his patience and the careful way he handled every device. He never lied, never overcharged, never tried to cheat anyone. If a phone needed only a small fix, he said so. If he didn't know how to solve a problem, he stayed up late watching tutorials, learning until he got it right. His honesty started spreading from one customer to another. A woman he helped told her friends, a taxi driver recommended him to passengers, and soon, people began to stop by his roadside spot with trust in their eyes. They started calling him the quiet guy who fixes everything. Yuzo didn't talk much. He let his work speak for him. Even when he was tired, even when his clothes were worn out, even when Abuja felt too hard, he kept going because he believed his struggle was building something bigger. Each repaired phone felt like a small victory. Each satisfied customer felt like a step forward. And without realizing it, Yuzo was slowly becoming known, one honest repair at a time. Yuzo was working under the hot sun one afternoon when an older man stood nearby watching him repair a cracked screen phone. The man didn't say anything at first. He just observed the way Yuzo worked slowly, carefully, cleaning every corner and testing everything twice before handing the phone back. When the customer smiled and said, "You're good, thank you," the man finally stepped forward. He introduced himself as Mr. Chima, the owner of a small tech shop just a few meters away. He told Yuzo he had been watching him for weeks and was impressed by his patience and honesty. Then he offered something Yuzo never expected, a small space inside his shop where he could work without the heat, rain, or dust. Yuzo felt a rush of gratitude and agreed immediately. Moving into the shop changed everything. People who once walked past him now stopped because the shop gave him legitimacy. His corner was small, but clean, organized, and filled with life. Customers came in with phones, tablets, small gadgets, and everyone left satisfied. They liked his neat work, his gentle way of explaining problems, and most of all, his fair pricing. He didn't add unnecessary charges or exaggerate faults. The trust he had started building on the roadside grew faster inside the shop. But Yuzo wasn't satisfied with just repairs. Every night after the shop closed, he used his old laptop to watch tutorials. He learned mini programming, how to unlock devices, and how to customize gadget software. He practiced until he understood every step. After weeks of learning, he introduced a new service, Fast Repair Plus Customization. Customers loved the idea because he could not only fix their devices, but also personalize them with unique designs, themes, and faster performance. One day, a student recorded a short video of Yuzo working and posted it on TikTok. The caption said, "This guy is magic with gadgets." The video started gaining likes, comments, and shares. Another customer posted before and after photos of her customized phone on Instagram, and people began asking, "Where is this guy?" Within days, Yuzo's name started trending locally. More people walked into the shop, pointing at their screens and saying, "We saw you online." For the first time, Yuzo felt his breakthrough beginning. Not loud, but strong, steady, and real. Yuzo's life changed so quickly that even he struggled to believe it. After months of working in the small tech shop, his confidence grew along with his customer base. People were now coming from far parts of Abuja, just to meet the quiet boy with magic hands. With the money he saved and the support from loyal customers, he finally took the bold step of opening his own shop. He rented a small but bright space and painted the name boldly across the front, Yuzo Tech Innovations. Seeing his name on the signboard brought tears to his eyes. It felt like the beginning of something bigger than survival. It felt like purpose. Inside the shop, he set up clean work tables, organized tool shelves, and added a small waiting area. He didn't want to grow alone, so he went back to the streets and found two boys who reminded him of his own early days. One sold phone cases on the roadside, the other washed windshields at traffic stops. Both were hardworking but overlooked, just like he once was. He hired them, trained them, and taught them everything he knew about repairs, customer service, and honesty. The boys respected him deeply because he treated them with kindness, not superiority. As the quality of work increased, more customers kept coming. Yuzo began offering advanced services, software fixing, gadget upgrades, custom tech accessories, and repairs most shops refused. His shop soon became busy from morning till night. People loved how clean his workspace was, how carefully he explained issues, and how transparent he was with prices. Every customer walked out feeling valued. Word of mouth became his strongest advertisement. One afternoon, he received an email that changed his business again. He had applied for a small youth entrepreneurship grant months earlier, not expecting much. But he won. The grant wasn't huge, but it was enough to buy better tools, more equipment, and a generator for constant power. It was his first real capital boost, and it arrived exactly when he needed it. With better equipment and a growing team, Yuzo Tech Innovations became known all across Abuja. People started saying, "If it's broken, take it to Yuzo. The boy can fix anything." His story spread not because he was loud or showy, but because his work spoke louder than words. And slowly, the boy who arrived in Abuja with 7,000 Nigerian nairas became the name everyone trusted in the world of small tech repairs. Yuzo was working in his shop one busy afternoon when a representative from a major electronics company walked in holding a box filled with damaged devices. The man explained that their company had an urgent problem. 50 custom devices needed repairs and upgrades, and they had only a few days to deliver them to an important client. Other technicians had turned down the job because it was too complicated and the deadline was too tight. But someone in the company had seen Yuzo's viral customization videos online and insisted they try him. Yuzo felt nervous, but he agreed because opportunities like this didn't come twice. For the next few days, he barely slept. He and his 2 boys worked late into the night, carefully opening each device, fixing broken parts, upgrading software, and adding clean custom finishes. Yuzo checked every single device himself, making sure nothing left his table unless it was perfect. Even when his eyes felt heavy and his hands hurt from hours of work, he pushed through. He wanted this job to speak louder than anything he could ever say. When he finally delivered all 50 devices, clean, fast, and flawless, the company was shocked. Not only did he meet the deadline, he beat it by a full day. The quality was far beyond what they expected. A week later, the company returned with an official partnership offer. They wanted Yuzo to handle all their repair and customization contracts moving forward. It meant steady income, bigger opportunities, and access to tools and materials he could never afford on his own. With the new contract, Yuzo's business expanded faster than he imagined. He opened a second branch in Abuja, then a third one. After saving enough, he finally took a branch back home to Owerri, the same place where he once left with nothing but 7,000 Nigerian nairas and pain in his heart. The shop in Owerri became his quiet victory. Within months, Yuzo's income multiplied. His shops were always busy, his brand kept growing, and people started treating him with the respect he had once begged for. But Yuzo didn't change. He stayed humble, worked quietly, and focused on improving every day. Without making noise, he became quietly wealthy. A success built from struggle, honesty, and the courage to start again when everyone doubted him. While Yuzo's life was rising quietly, Pascal's world was collapsing faster than he could understand. The same flashy lifestyle he once bragged about started eating everything he had. He spent money carelessly, on parties, expensive clothes, unnecessary trips, and never saved a single naira. When one of his business deals went wrong, people began whispering about fraud, and soon he was facing accusations he couldn't escape. Clients demanded refunds, partners pulled out, and his reputation started to crumble. The confidence he once wore like armor began to disappear. His girlfriend, who loved the luxury more than she loved him, was the first to leave. She blocked him on everything after he couldn't pay for her new phone. His circle of friends, the same ones who cheered when he mocked Yuzo, vanished one by one when the money stopped flowing. The same men who once sat in his car and praised him suddenly acted like they didn't know him. For the first time, Pascal felt the sting of being alone. The pressure increased when his landlord began knocking at his door every morning, demanding rent he didn't have. Pascal tried everything, selling old clothes, borrowing money, even attempting another quick business deal. But nothing worked. People refused to lend him anything because they no longer trusted him. Every day felt heavier than the last. He couldn't sleep, couldn't eat, and couldn't pretend anymore. The life he built on pride was falling apart right in front of him. What hurt him most wasn't the money. It was the realization that he had mocked the one person who could help him. He remembered every insult he threw at Yuzo, every moment he made him feel small, and the shame twisted inside him like a knife. He stood in front of his mirror one night and whispered, "How do I face him now?" But he had no choice. The landlord gave him a final warning, and with nowhere else to turn, Pascal swallowed his pride. The next morning, he took a deep breath. Were the only decent clothes he had left, and made the long walk to Yuzo's office. Each step felt heavy, not because of the distance, but because he knew he was walking toward the brother he had once crushed with words. Now he was coming to him with empty pockets and a broken heart. Pascal stood outside Yuzo's office door for several minutes, unsure if he had the courage to walk in. His once stylish clothes were now faded, his shoes worn out, and the confidence he used to show had completely vanished. When he finally stepped inside, the cool air and organized workspace made him feel even smaller. The place was brighter, cleaner, and busier than he imagined. He watched customers sitting patiently, and employees moving around with respect and discipline. It didn't look like the shop of the slow, broke brother he once mocked. It looked like a real company, strong, calm, and successful. 2 staff members approached instantly. "Good afternoon, sir." They greeted Yuzo with genuine respect when he walked out from the back office. Pascal's chest tightened. No one ever called him sir unless he was paying them. But here, people respected Yuzo without fear, without pretending, without expecting anything in return. Pascal felt a wave of shame wash over him. Yuzo looked at Pascal closely, recognizing the tired eyes and the guilt he was trying to hide. For a moment, memories flashed. Every insult Pascal had thrown at him. Every moment he made him feel worthless. Every time he laughed at his dreams. But Yuzo stayed calm. He didn't show anger, didn't show pride, didn't show revenge. He just waited quietly, letting Pascal speak first. Pascal swallowed hard and lowered his voice, unable to meet Yuzo's eyes. "Brother, please," he whispered. "I need help to pay my rent." The words sounded heavy, broken, stripped of all the pride he once carried. Saying them felt like opening an old wound in front of the very person he had hurt the most. Yuzo didn't rush to answer. He let the silence sit for a few seconds, long enough for Pascal to feel the weight of his own actions. Then he spoke softly, not with anger but with truth. "I thought I would always be broke?" The sentence hit Pascal like a slap he knew he deserved. His eyes dropped to the floor, his shoulders sank, and the shame covered him completely. In that moment, Pascal understood the full consequence of his words and actions. And Yuzo realized that sometimes, the most powerful revenge is simply becoming everything they said you couldn't be. Yuzo looked at Pascal for a long moment, not out of anger, but to understand the kind of pain that finally humbled him. Pascal stood silently, eyes lowered, hands shaking slightly. He expected Yuzo to shout, to remind him of all the insults, to push him out of the office the way he once pushed Yuzo out of the family circle. But Yuzo surprised him in the one way he never expected. He didn't raise his voice, didn't laugh, didn't even show bitterness. Instead, he gently asked, "How much do you owe?" Pascal whispered the amount, embarrassed by how small but impossible it felt for him to pay. Without hesitation, Yuzo went to his drawer, counted the money, and placed it in Pascal's hands. Pascal blinked in disbelief, his throat tightening because he knew he didn't deserve such kindness. But before he could say anything, Yuzo added something even more shocking. He offered him a job at Yuzo Tech Innovations. Pascal lifted his head slowly, confused, not sure he heard correctly. "A job," he repeated, as if the idea didn't make sense. Yuzo nodded and explained that he needed someone responsible to help manage inventory, supervise staff, and maintain order in the growing branches. He didn't say it, but he hoped the job would give Pascal a chance to rebuild himself. Not through pride, but through discipline. Pascal accepted the job with quiet gratitude, and on his first day, he realized how much he still had to learn. He arrived early, swept the floor, arranged products, checked supplies, and followed instructions from people younger than him. Each task humbled him. Each "yes, sir" directed at Yuzo reminded him of the brother he once belittled. The community noticed quickly. People whispered at shops and bus stops. "The brother who bragged is now working under the one he insulted." Some laughed at the irony, but Yuzo never encouraged it. Instead, he treated Pascal with respect, never using the past to shame him. Over time, Pascal changed. He became patient, responsible, and quieter. He respected every worker, helped customers politely, and took pride in doing things right. His arrogance slowly melted into humility. And Yuzo watched all this with a calm heart. His revenge wasn't loud. It was graceful, lifting his brother instead of destroying him. That was his true strength. The sun was setting softly over Abuja when Yuzo stepped outside his main branch. watching his employees move around with energy and purpose. The shop had grown into a place of life, customers walking in with trust, workers laughing as they organized gadgets, and young boys learning skills they once thought were out of reach. Yuzo stood with quiet pride, not because of the wealth he had gathered, but because of the lives he had touched. He looked at the bright signboard above him, Yuzo Tech Innovations, and remembered the day he arrived in the city with only a bag and a broken heart. As he stood there, he saw Pascal walking toward him slowly. Pascal looked healthier, calmer, and more grounded than before. Working in the shop had shaped him into a new version of himself. Someone who understood effort, respect, and humility. When he finally reached Yuzo, he stopped and took a deep breath. With a soft, honest voice he said, "You became everything I said you couldn't be. I'm proud of you." There was no jealousy left in his tone, only regret and admiration. It was the first time in his life he had spoken to Yuzo without pride or competition. Yuzo smiled gently, the kind of smile that held forgiveness without needing to say the word. He replied, "You taught me what not to become. Your words built my fire." It wasn't said to embarrass Pascal. It was simply the truth. The pain Pascal caused him had pushed him out of his comfort zone and into the life he now lived. Instead of breaking him, it shaped him. As they stood together, the shop lights glowing behind them, the scene faded into a voiceover, a reflection of Yuzo's journey. "They said I'd always be broke," the narration echoed. "But now they wait at my door for opportunities." The image of Yuzo helping customers, guiding young workers, and building a life of purpose flashed like a silent victory. Then the final quote appeared on screen, strong and clear. "Your success will silence what your pain could not." It was the legacy of his journey. A reminder that sometimes the deepest wounds become the strongest fuel for greatness.